So the stage is mine. So, hi, I'm glad to get to come. I wish I could see you in person. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am desperate to get on an airplane and actually go see some humans instead of just seeing a Zoom screen. If you're anything like me, my day ends up, I think they call it being a Zombie. So it's 12 noon here, and I think this is my 7th Zoom call that I've been on. So I just become a Zombie as the day goes on. What I don't know is how much you know about the Scrum Alliance, because I think that what I end up and find is that most people have a misunderstanding of who we are and why we exist. So somebody that's here that's a host, give me an idea of how confident are you that people know who the Scrum Alliance is and why we exist? Stefan, anybody? Sabina? Are you comfortable with this group knowing that, or?
I can't speak for everyone, but I think most of them have a good understanding about the Scrum Alliance, what it is, and maybe you can think they know what the Scrum Alliance is, but maybe not what we are doing all the day.
Okay, let's do that. I'll go real quick. You do know we're a nonprofit. We're the only nonprofit in the certifying space, and I just looked up. We've got 1.175 million certificates. One of the things that certification does for us is just a signpost milestone for people on their journey, but that produces revenue for us that we can use for the mission of the organization. So we're here to serve our membership and provide funding for this chapter, for regional gatherings around the world. And I just looked up earlier, and these are my great PowerPoints. Oh, you can't see it because of the thing. We just in the last 4 years, just for regional events, we've given away and got zero money back, 5 million or 4.5 plus or minus euros just in the last 4 years. And I'm working to kind of exponentially grow that to where we can give more and more each year. So that's what happens to the revenue we get. We cover staff, and then we start funding the mission of the organization, which is those kind of things. One thing you may not know too is how we're working. So Melissa and I take really good pride in not just our community and the work that we're doing and the way we can use our money. Uniquely, I think we're doing something internally that you may not be able to see outside, is that we no longer have department heads and departments. We have a completely flat organizational structure. We have seven cross-departmental teams. It's weird how the light does that. And what that means now is we have no IT department, we have no marketing department, we have no education department, we have none of those anymore. We have a team focused on a customer. We have 7 teams focused on a customer and a customer journey. And within that cross-departmental team will have 2 people from IT, a person or 2 from marketing, a person or 2 from the education space, maybe somebody from customer support, somebody from accounting. So it represents all areas of our business into one team to where they have the ability to take the customer's feedback, build products and provide services for that customer. Let's say foundations, which is kind of people that are beginning their journey as a Scrum Master and then are starting. The needs that they have are quite different than, let's say, our CSTs or our coaches. So we give them different teams, and they are looking at the things that we can provide of value for them. And both Melissa and I have come from a variety of agile backgrounds. And one of the things that we're doing internally in those cross-departmental teams that I would bet none of you get to see at your clients or where you're currently working is this. Every 2 weeks, all 7 teams do live sprint reviews to real customers. It's not a sprint review to a product owner or a proxy product owner. We have customer advisory teams that are customers that fit that persona that are volunteering. And so our teams are demoing live product for them every 2-week sprint, all on the same cycle. Like every place I ever consulted, every place I ever helped do training at, I never got a customer to ever get teams to have real customer impact and feedback every single sprint. So I'm super proud of that. So not only externally for us, but we live those things internally. I think when you talk about where we're going or what we'd like to do, like there's something I want us to solve as an industry. And this is bigger than the Scrum Alliance. And this is one of those, what they call a BHAG, when you start writing strategies, you start writing things as BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Like if you could achieve anything, what would you like to achieve? And I'm going to say that I'm sad at the state of this thing that we call agile transformations in the world. I've seen so many of them get started and climb and get some energy and then die. That they start for a little bit and then funding runs out and it's over. Or they hire a group of people to help with things and then they change and get somebody else and then the movement stops. And I helped build 2 of the largest consultancies in the agile space in the United States. And we still saw those kind of patterns. And I have this fear that if we don't come up with some solution, if we don't find some way to help with this, this idea, this mindset that we all have of this, that agility is a better way to work, that we can have teams that are joyful, that are prosperous, that are sustainable. If we don't help solve that problem, that agile will be just a fad and it will go away. So one of the big disconnects, and I know many of you have probably hired coaches or met coaches around the way that you kind of wonder what's going on, why are they an agile coach, is that just, LinkedIn, I just looked at LinkedIn this morning to kind of give me a little bit of a piece of data, and that doesn't serve all of the world. It's just a small section of the world. Currently, there's nearly 270,000 people that call themselves an agile coach. Right now on Indeed.com alone, there's over 5,000 job openings right now that they're trying to hire more agile coaches. Before coronavirus, there was well over 12,000. The demand is high. And I think what's happening, and I've seen it, is everybody and their brother, their sister, they write the word agile coach on a business card. And honestly, I'm not sure that many of them actually have the capabilities, expertise to actually help an organization to achieve their goals. Or maybe worse, they write organizational transformation agile coach or some other weird series of names on there about the word agile coach. Scrum Alliance started a peer review agile coaching certification in 2008. I was here then. I thought, wow, we've kind of gotten the hang of what real world-class training is and accreditation for training. And we all know that all organizations need education, but they also need coaching in a way. They need help getting from where that they are to where that they want to be. And education is important, but it's not enough. But since 2008 until the last couple of years, we really haven't focused on the Agile Coach section of that. And that's where I want us to apply pressure over the next 4 or 5 years. We're growing at a pretty good rate for our certified team coaches and our certified enterprise coaches. There are very few truly peer vetted Agile coaching certifications. What I'm hoping is that we can create enough, we can help raise the bar. I'm wanting to professionalize the role of Agile coach. Like if we really are going to change the world, we're all going to have to get better at what we do. And the people that are doing this have got to start sharing with each other the patterns and things that they're learning in order for us to help make this thing sticky. Like I'm convinced that if we don't do this, who else will? Because there's not a revenue stream really in it for us. It's not about revenue. For me, it's about missional impact, about transforming the world of work. We can't train the world into transforming, we can sure stand alongside them and coach them to that after training. So my hope is that we start growing rapidly, keeping the bar as high as it is. We've made some progress internally over making the process much leaner, much simpler, less complicated to get through, but the destination is still at the same bar. It's much different to be a peer-reviewed CTC or a CEC than it is simply to call yourself an Agile coach and hope that you know what you're doing. So every time I get a chance to talk to a group, whether it's a group of 20 or it's a group of 10,000, I'm challenging them in the audience that if they're looking to hire an Agile coach, make damn sure who you hire. Are they peer reviewed? Do they have the skills necessary to do the job? Or do they just call themselves this? And for those in the audience that have been calling themselves an Agile coach, maybe it's time to figure out whether you truly know what you think you know and go through some sort of a peer review process to do that. So, and that's not me for what I think Scrum Alliance can achieve. I'm hopeful that we make it such that all other organizations do the exact same thing. They start going, you know what? We need to be peer reviewed too in this world of Agile coaching, and rising tide rises all ships. And I'm okay with that. It's not about us, but I think we have to spearhead that and start that. Is that enough for you to work with? How about that?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Howard, I think you have some time left. Maybe there are questions from the audience to you. If anyone has a question, you can use the hand raised button in Zoom, and then we give the word to you. Is there any question to Howard?
By the way, they're €5 per question, so ask all you want. Just kidding.
I have one question. How do you want to proceed with the Agile coaching strategy?
How would you proceed with that?
Yes.
So, and I can make sure that you all have this. One of the things is we've got the certifications for how to become a coach are on our site, and they're pretty easy to find. One of the easiest ways is there's about 80 or 90 online e-learning videos about all of the different facets of what it truly means to be an Agile coach. And they're available free on our site. We don't make anything at all. It's just something that we've paid for to make sure that it's a way for you to kind of watch and listen and go, okay, I've got some more to learn in this area, or I actually have that to be able to do. So there's, I could look up the URL and get it to you in just a minute, but they're all the path to becoming a CEC and a CTC are on there. One of the easiest ways, like I see a couple of them over here, like I see Andy on here, and it's hard because many of you are so tiny on the screen, is find one of the CECs or CTCs that have already been through that and ask them, can they help mentor you through it? So they have some basically a faster pass way to say, yes, I have co-coached with this person for a period of time. I understand their skills. I can validate that they know all of these things, and they can help you get through that process a little bit faster. Because, I mean, that's the heart of what a peer-reviewed process is about.
Do you mean that you will create additional certification for the Agile coaching? Do you plan to do to create a new certification?
We already have it. We created the certification back in 2008. It was originally called Certified Scrum Coach, and then it became Certified Enterprise Coach. It became renamed. And then that was about 2009, it got renamed. And then, Andy, you may have to help me. 4 or 5 years ago, they launched a Certified Team Coach, maybe a little bit more than that, which is a CTC. So those Certified Team Coach and Certified Enterprise Coach, those are really good with working with fleets of teams, groups of teams, or an enterprise, people that are typically spending their time working with CEOs, board of directors, directors of program development to help shape an organization to be an Agile organization. Those people with that experience are becoming a CEC. We already have those certifications. Those have been out for quite some time. Our organization just honestly hasn't focused on them. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's become a focus of mine.
Okay, it means that in next 4 or 5 years, you would like to focus on these 2 certifications and to support the people who would like to get it with co-coaching with the CTC and CEC.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We need to grow a lot more coaches.
Okay, Christoph.
What would be your expectations towards the chapter? How can we support? What would be your expectations here?
You know, uniquely, you are the only chapter that we have. You're it. You're it. And so you are the experiment. You are the guinea pig. You are the whatever you want to say. I don't think that I've been considering expectations as being a part of a chapter. I just happen to know, I know many of you, and I know your hearts, and I know your alignment towards the mission of the organization and wanting to help. I think you all could work on helping to provide content that's in German all the time, which is great. But maybe figuring out how many team coaches that you can help mentor to get through a pipeline within a period of time would be kind of an interesting thing. People like Andy and others that are here can help with, help you with those things. But that would be an interesting thing. I would love to have many more German CTCs and CECs.
I have one question to you, Howard, regarding the trainer part. We had started a big experiment a few months ago with going online with all our classes. I think it was not really our decision. There was a little kind of pandemic that helps us to bring us to this decision. But the question is, what did we learn what did you learn in the last month? And what do you think would that mean for the next maybe years? Is having online training something we will have over the pandemic, when the pandemic is over, or what do you think about that?
It's a great question. I'm still learning. Like I've been married to my wife for 30 years and I'm still learning. So when we first made this switch to allow that, because you got to remember for 20 years, nearly 20 years, there was one cardinal rule that the classes had to be in person. There was no option. They had to be that way. And so making a pivot to saying, let's allow this had some risks, but it felt like for everything that we saw in the world, it was what we had to do. But honestly, my mindset when we did that was, this will be a very short-term thing, maybe 30 days, 60 days, because at that time, of course, I have a government that's telling me far different things about coronavirus than maybe you have. Let's not go into politics, but I assumed it would be fairly short. And I've learned that it definitely is not short. I learned that a lot of us that have been teaching Scrum and have been Agilists sometimes fear change. I was a little bit amazed at the number of them that said, no, we can't change. Wait, aren't you teaching the ability to change? That seems a little strange. Even the strongest holdouts that said it will never work online are now teaching online. So they've decided now that it may have been a good time. Like the net promoter scores and the feedback we're getting from the students is higher than we've ever seen. In a real amazing way. And I know the first few classes that many of the trainers did, they didn't feel the most comfortable because it's awkward and it's a little different. We're on Zoom calls. We're not face-to-face. They're having to change the ballpoint game to something online and it's not the same. But the student feedback has been phenomenal. The number of people that we've been able to reach around the world is so different than what I would have normally expected. Like, if you're even familiar with Colorado, great big Rocky Mountains right in the middle of Colorado where our home office is, multiple people wrote from the other side of the Rockies because the only classes had been in Denver, and it's like a 2-hour drive to get to Denver, and they've never had a chance to be able to come to one. And now they can come to the online. We've got people coming from other countries that couldn't afford to get on a plane to come. Trainers are also like, they've gone from like teaching in a city and having mostly people in the city come together with a perspective, and now having somebody in your class that's from China, somebody from Paris, somebody from the United States, somebody from Germany, has a really interesting collective way to collaborate about the state of the world and how you're learning this, I think, in a different way. For future, I have no crystal ball. I really don't. I wish I did. I don't. I would be hard pressed to say that we all have to go back to in person. There's value that we're able to deliver, missional value, to reach parts of the world, to reach people that we weren't able to reach through technology. And I'm seeing the byproducts of like the test scores are just as high or higher. The feedback is as high or higher. It feels like we can reach more people in a more dynamic way with this option available. Yet I yearn to be face-to-face with people. So I think where the trouble is really going to be honest, it's not online or in person that makes me nervous. It's the blend of the two. I'm most nervous about the moment when many of you have, I've got a classroom and there are 5 of them that are available in the classroom, have 20 of them on a computer screen at the same time. To me, that's when the facilitation gets really ugly. I want us as an organization, my number one thing is not revenue. My number one thing is prioritize that student's learning journey. So if we can give them that learning experience, that dynamic, fire igniting experience online, yeah, let's keep doing that. If we can't, then let's stop.
Okay. I think there's one last question for Malte.
Yeah, and this is because the focus is now on the coaching certifications, but how do we get it into the market that it even makes sense for the people to go onto that path? Because like you need to be a CSP before you can even think about the certified coaches. And I'm wondering, what is there a focus of the Scrum Alliance, and what is it to not only provide the path to CSP, but to actually market the path to CSP in the various countries, more of a like, this is why you should go on this journey?
So it probably wouldn't be a marketing effort for a path to CSP. So what did I tell you earlier? I have to look back at my notes. 268,177 people that call themselves an Agile coach, predominantly United States. I think that includes the UK, but it's not all the world. And what's the likelihood of many of them starting over on that learning journey and making their way all the way through that path to become an Agile coach? What's the likelihood of that student or that person that's been practicing as an Agile coach for 10 years, 12 years, that actually has the experience, but just didn't take the very progressive path that we have scheduled, of actually going through that path? I think that chance is very, very low, right? To start over on that path. So we have worked on a what we call an alternative path for those that have more than X amount of time of experience. It hasn't even been public yet, but we're trying to figure out how to help people that are actually at that skill level get validated without having to start over. But if somebody is new into their learning journey, that learning path that we have set up is great. I mean, it's actually a very good way to get the organic learning for it. But, you know, I would throw out names for people that we all know are great Agile coaches. Like what would be in it for them to do that? So we have spent a lot of money about helping leaders and organizations understand what's the difference between a validated coach and one that's not, how much risk that they're willing to take on if they don't. We have a whole team called the Leaders Team that is and that has put writings and case studies from our coaches in magazines and books and other things all around the world. I've set for interviews for Forrester Research and Forbes and others, trying to help the world understand that there's a destination there that's not just called Agile Coach for that. So the marketing effort that we're doing, I mean, right now we're spending, my math skills are pretty terrible. So this means I get a calculator out. We're spending about $80,000, $85,000 a month simply on advertising for things like this around the world. And trust me, it's really hard to have a global blanketed spend from India to China to Germany to everywhere else over that kind of an effort.
Yeah, and this is like the reason I was asking this question is because you obviously spend a lot of effort in the English-speaking markets. So one of the things from a German perspective that the chapter can help, and that might also be something other countries could adapt to, or language groups, or however you want to call them, that we're utilizing the efforts and the storylines you have been making, adopt them to the culture and the language, and then try to emphasize that in the local market as well. And this is where I was kind of like getting with my question.
Yeah, we do localize a lot more in places like China and Japan, where English is not as easy. And honestly, we can't, like, we have a local group in China that has their own China website and different things because we just can't from the United States. We don't tend to localize as from the States here for places like Germany, but that's a great place for you all. Like that kind of content or that kind of things. If you want to help retranslate some of that to help it get out, or we don't want to work on some sort of a marketing budget specifically for your region, I'm game for that. I'm game for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have time for one last question? Okay. Yes. I've got a 10-minute break after this to go grab my lunch that my wife brought in. So. Okay. Then maybe
just a quick remark. We have a ongoing working group where Sabine and others are part of, and they have been helping translating the videos, the foundation videos to German, and other documents also. And they are also involved in the translation of the Scrum Guide. And so if anybody wants to help with these and translating other materials also, please approach this group. You find the contact details on the website.
Just one comment to that, Mentos.
Can we bring these discussions to later when we don't think we need Howard for that? And we have one last question from Peter to Howard, and then Howard can go to lunch.
Oh yeah, so I try to make it short. When Malte raised the question how we educate probably Scrum Masters or whatever to become coaches, this immediately raised my curiosity. How do we educate the market that peer-reviewed coaches are of additional value compared to someone just calling himself an Agile coach? What's going on there?
It's a very complicated chicken and egg thing, right? We have to create the demand, but we also have to create the education path. I think I was trying to explain it before that our leaders team is particularly focused on that, helping the world helping to make sure that we get in front of all of the organizations that we can to help them see that. They're actually working with recruiting departments of companies and HR departments to help them see, if you're hiring an Agile coach, what are you really looking for? There are papers coming out that we've been working on to try to help advertise that. At the same time, like right now, see if you can see this. There's 138 CECs and 168 CTCs. We probably need 5,000. We got a long growth curve of people to meet the demand. If I make the demand so big, we can't meet the demand, we're in trouble. So there's a little bit of both happening. So we're trying to work on that on both ends. Absolutely.
Okay, great, Howard. Thank you to have you here. Thank you for joining us, spending your lunchtime, a bit of your lunchtime with us. We will see what we are doing, and you will hear from us. So Mentor said it, we have a group who is thinking about translations. We also will start a group to growing our CTCs and CECs in the German-speaking world, and maybe also in the Netherlands, we will see. And so have a great day, I think, and let us together work with the Scrum Alliance. Thank you.
You got it. Hey, thank you all for being a part of the chapter too. Like, this is an experiment, and you all have done some great things in the past. Like, keep going. Like, you know the right things, you know the mission of the organization, keep forging ground and trying new things. Push me on it. Say, we're going faster than you. Keep up, Howard. I love it. I love it. And let me know how I can help. Okay?
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.